Good morning. Okay, this is going to be hopefully a quick, just a little tutorial on the mapping lion populations slash lion phylogeny activity for those of you that need a reminder of what happened in class or were absent. All right, so I'm clicking on the assignment in Schoology. This video will be attached here, but if you're watching it, you already know that. Okay, so in the Lulu, the lioness activity, we focused on lion prides within Etosha National Park. These lion prides are just a few of the many prides across Africa. In this activity, we're going to try to figure out if different prides are related to one another and if where the pride is located affects their relatedness. If you remember in the Lulu, the lioness activity, um, a lot of the lions bounced around. Lulu was definitely bouncing around with the cubs, and that male 633 had disappeared early on, and the other males had come into the Rietfontein Pride. So there was some movement. So we're going to look at geographic data and genetic data to see if we can learn some things about the relatedness of these lions. We're going to be analyzing genetic data from 10 different prides across Africa and comparing it to their geographical location. Okay, so if you were in class or got a hard copy of the assignment, it's going to be right here. You are going to make a copy if you don't already have one. If you have one, go to your copy. You're going to, as always, put your name on your copy, and then you are going to move it into your biology folder. Okay, so maybe sooner or later we'll put unit folders in the biology folder to be a little more organized. Okay, so we're going to start. You need access to this microsatellite data, so you're going to open that tab. And then we can hold off for the geographic data. So the microsatellite data looks like this. It's 2 pages long. And you've got, I don't want to give it away because the first thing you're going to do is kind of analyze it. So you've got a lot of stuff here. Again, 2 pages. I want you to start by taking a look at all this stuff. Just kind of look through, and you're not expected to understand it because you've just looked at it, right? Who knows what a microsatellite even is? So I want you to just take a look at this and then do a see, think, wonder. So over here, what do you see? What patterns do you see? For example, the first one that most students says was colors, but there's more than that. So try to find 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 things that you see. Then what do you think? What if you had to guess? What do you think this stuff means? Think about what we've been learning. What do these different colors mean? What do the numbers mean? All that. What do these names mean? And then what do you wonder? And I would think that should be pretty easy because who knows what this stuff is? You probably have a lot of questions. So try to come up with, like I said, 2, 3, or maybe even 4 bullet points for each of these. And just kind of get comfy with that data. So if you're doing this, I'm actually going to tell you to pause now and go ahead and do that see, think, wonder. So pause the video, do the see, think, wonder, and then come back in a sec. Okay. Okay. So hopefully you're back. We talked about this in class. So if you missed class, most kids saw numbers, they saw some names of maybe places, they noticed rectangles with different colors, and they wondered what all that meant. So now I'm going to tell you. So hopefully you paused and did the see, think, wonder. Each of these names is a pride in Africa. Each number refers to a specific lion. So each rectangle is the data for that specific lion. And the different patterns and bands, it's like a visual of the genotype or the alleles that that lion has. So you can see that in Etosha National Park, there's not a lot of genetic diversity. Most of the lions have the same alleles. And then whereas in like Zambia and Sabi Sands, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing these right, sorry, they have a little more genetic diversity. So we're going to be using this data for the questions on the remainder of this activity. So after you take a look at that data, you're going to answer questions 2 or 3. 2 is to find 2 lion prides that are similar to one another. So just a reminder, each name is a pride. So Cameroon only has 5 lions. Tsavo has several. Etosha National Park, whoa, they get a lot. Kalahari, just a few. Zambia is pretty big. Botswana is pretty big. Sabi Sands is a small one. Fanny Roberts is a small one. Here, let me Zimbabwe is a little bigger one, and Umfolozi, again, sorry about my pronunciation, is a little bigger one. So you've got information for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 prides here. So find 2 that are similar, and then list the similarities and then some differences. The next question is to look at Zambia, the Zambia data. So that is Zambia. That is right here. So that's this pride on the top of the second page. So take a look at that data, and it says which lions are likely to have migrated from a different population. So remember that every lion here, every rectangle is a lion. So if you look at all this data, do you see any that look like they might have come from somewhere else? Which ones are they? Give me the numbers of the lions that look like maybe they came from somewhere else. And then after you list those numbers here, where do you think they came from? Can you look at the other prides and see if you can figure out where they came from? So go ahead and pause again and just complete questions 2 and 3, both parts of each, and then come back to the video in a minute. All right, you're back. Okay, so now we're going to look at geographic data. So you're going to need to open up the geographic data, and this is a color-coded map of where these prides are located in Africa. So here's Africa. There's the different countries in Africa, and each pride is represented by a color. FYI, the colors have nothing to do with the microsatellite data. It's just a color for this particular map, so don't let that throw you off. So for example, Cameroon, up here. Etosha is the yellow. Also, don't be thrown off by the fact that, like, right under the Etosha yellow, it says Namibia. It says you got to look at this stuff. There's 3 different blues. Apologies. This one is the Umfolozi, and this one is the Tsavo. And you can look at the rest. So take a look here. Like, this one actually is Zambia, and it's right near that country. This one is Zimbabwe. So some of them, and this one is Botswana. So some of them make sense, but other ones like Namibia here, this is Etosha, because Namibia is the country and Etosha is the national park. So take a look at that data, and then you're going to do a see, think, wonder again. What do you see? What do you think? What do you wonder about the data? I just kind of told you a lot of stuff, so I might have spoiled it, but based on what I said, and you can take a look, go ahead and do that. And then you're going to answer questions 2 and 3. So for 2, you're going to go back to part 1 to question 2 here. And which 2 prides did you say were similar? Now you're going to look at those on the map. How far apart are they? Are they close? Are they middle? Are they really far? And then based on this data, how do you think geography affects genetics? And quick side note, if you look right here at the top, that's our essential question today. How does geography, or where something is in the world, affect or influence genetics or the genetic makeup of organisms? So that's kind of a big question, right? You might see it again on a test or a quiz. So based on this data, you had 2 prides that you thought were similar. Are they close together? Are they far apart? Look at the map. Tell me what they are. And then based on that, do you think geography affects genetics? And if so, how does it? Then you might actually want to pause and do those 2 questions. Take a breather. Then you're going to do these 4 analysis questions. All right. So based on geography, what populations would you expect to be very genetically different from many of the other populations? So you're going to then look at your geography and say, of these, which one do you think would be the most different, genetically speaking, and why? Explain. Using evidence from the map, explain why the alleles in Cameroon are different from all of the other lion populations. Okay, so look at where Cameroon is, look where all the other ones are, and then look at the genetic data to see how Cameroon compares to the other ones. And then explain. Okay, so the hint here is, do you think it's easy for lions from Cameroon to go to the other prides? Like, they don't jump on planes. No lions on planes. So answer that one. Question 3, the Etosha population is located in a national park. Why do you think the lions in this population are so genetically similar? So the Etosha one was that big green one. A lot of lions, not a lot of genetic diversity. Why do you think that? It's a national park. What do you know about national parks? Consider how a population in a national park is different than a wild population. If you've ever been to a national park, like sometimes you have to pay to get in, there's not usually a fence, but they're protected areas. And then 4 says find Fanny Roberts' population on the microsatellite data and the geographic data, and then answer the question below. With which other population does Fanny Roberts' population seem to share many of its alleles? Look for similar colors. And then why is that finding unusual based on the geographic location of these pride populations? Okay, so let's take a look at that actually. So here's Fanny Roberts right here, okay, down the bottom. And the first part of that question, my memory is shot, is where's like another population that's kind of similar to that? So what do you think? Probably just Zambia, right? Or Zambia, and Sabi Sands. So now let's take a look at the geographic data for those for Fanny Roberts, Sabi Sands, and Zambia. Okay, so Fanny Roberts is the red one here, right there. Okay. And then Zambia, I think I'm saying that wrong, is the brown one right here. And then Sabi Sands is bright green. Okay, so you've got this one here, and this one here. So it shares a lot of that. Umfolozi is right down here. So then the question is that unusual? Consider how close or far they are. So do you think that it's weird that this shares so much with this one and this one? Or maybe not? Do you think it should be more similar to Umfolozi? And let's take another look. Here's Fanny Roberts. Here's Umfolozi. Very different. But here's Sabi Sands in Zambia. So you're just going to talk about if you think it's unusual or not. All right. I'm going to stop this video because I'm going to lose you. And then we'll do another one for the lion phylogeny.